I thought I should start talking now about the project that I want you to do for Database Design and Development 1. And I always start any development project with this diagram. This diagram is called the System V, and it's by Osborne, Drummond, Hart and Zirin and Conger, and it was redrawn by Wikipedia user /me. And it's a pretty general engineering project diagram. Now, the thing with engineering projects is you have to start somewhere. Unless you've already got a product that you're just trying to modify, you've got to start somewhere, and the only real place to start is with talking to people and writing stuff down. So that talking to people and writing stuff down is a little bit more formally called the concept of operations. What are you trying to do? Right? How's it supposed to work? Who is it supposed to work with? What are the constraints on how it works? How much should it cost sometimes? Right? And this side of the design V is called the project definition, right? We're trying to define what we're going to build, how we're going to build it, who's going to be involved in the building, all of that useful stuff. That's design, or we eventually get to design from there, and that's what this course is about, at least from a database perspective. This System V is applicable in a much more general engineering context. It's used by defense contractors, it's used by people who make software, it's used by people who make hardware. So it's a reasonably generic way of thinking about product development. So I have asked you, let me see if I can find the assignment. I've asked you over the next few weeks to, let me just pull this over here so we've got that there, right? I've created a link here. Let's just make it a little bigger so maybe we can see it a bit better. That's a little too big. Okay. Right, so there's this link here called Project Work. And the draw a chair entity that I've asked you to do, and several people have already completed, that is part of this project work. And what I'm going to ask you to do next with your chair entity is I want you to redraw it. Maybe you've had some feedback from me on the other assignment. I want you to redraw it, and then I want you to resubmit it. But this time, it's not going to be me who's looking at it. It's your peer students. So the problem with this assignment is you must submit it by March 1st at 11:59 p.m. If you do not submit it by then, you will get 0 for the assignment. The reason you have to submit it by March 1st at 11:59 p.m. is because once that time clicks over, you are then going to be asked to grade 3 other students' assignments, right? And I can't have some students waiting around for a week or more for others to submit their assignment. So if you submit it, that's great. If you don't submit it, that first thing, you're done. 0 for the assignment. Now, you will grade your peers in the second evaluation component. You will grade your peers' submissions. And if you don't give them 100%, give them feedback on why you didn't. Now, the grade you get for this assignment is half of it is if you submit your drawing, you will get half the grade, half the marks. If you then do your 3 reviews of other people's submissions, you will get the other half. The actual grade that you give, that you assign to everybody, that doesn't impact anybody's grade. I might do that in the future, but for this one, just to get you used to the peer review assignment, I want you to do it. I want you to do both parts. I want you to do the submission part, and I want you to do the evaluation part. If you have any questions about it, feel free to ask on the discussion forum. That's what that's for. Okay, so redraw your chair entity. Now, where we're headed is the next discussion forum assignment. Where we're headed is I want you to think about what other entities, what other real-world concepts or objects we might need to put into a database in order to implement an online furniture store. I think we've got chairs pretty much sorted. Some people have different ideas about what a chair is and what parameters of a chair need to be stored in the database. That's okay. But you need to now think, well, what other things would a furniture store sell? Right? There's obviously other things to be sold, not stole. I should correct that when I'm done. But there's also how the website is organized. That probably needs to be stored in a database. Is there a way to check out, to buy stuff? Maybe there's a way to select items for purchase and then to purchase it. If you're purchasing, you've got to make payments. How do you deal with that information? And then if you've got customers, returning customers, do you want to store their information? So the general thing is think Amazon, but for furniture only. Right? So we're just buying tables and chairs and cushions and things for the dining room, things for the kitchen, things for the living room, things for the bedroom. Probably beds is something we want to put in the things to be sold. Anyway, why I'm telling you this is that's our first part of concept of operations. Right? We've got to write down, we've got to talk about what we're going to do. Now, there's 2 ways to think about it. I've asked you to go directly to the entities. But if you look at the 2023 version of this video, and it should be immediately before this video in the playlist, you will see that the next thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about the functionality, right? And when we talk about functionality, that is often what I would call requirements. Now we're starting to be more specific about how to, or what the website is going to do. Right, so what we can do is, just going to grab a The furniture store website will allow customers to search for a particular item, right? So if you have a look at that at last year's video, you will see that one way to start thinking about those entities is to write down something like this, where you're saying what the thing will do, and then entities, or sometimes attributes, are the nouns within the sentences. So for example, here it's a bit of a long thing, but furniture store website is sort of a noun, but it's the whole system. This is the system we're going to build, but it's still a noun. And there might be some configuration items that you would want to associate with that entity. And then here are customers, right? That seems like a pretty good thing to store in a database. A noun, an entity is a customer. And then obviously item is another piece. These are the things, the entities, the tables, the attributes. The other part of a requirement is, what does it do? What are the functions? And this particular sentence has the verb search, right? So those verbs, the verb to search is going to allow us to possibly think about a form or a report in our database. So this is a verb or a doing word. And then these other ones, I don't know whether we got a nice, let's just go with that one, right? These other ones are our nouns. And they're going to be either an entity or a table, or sometimes nouns or attributes, right? So these nouns will probably end up being entities. In this particular instance, they're probably all entity of some sort. And this verb is probably going to end up being, well, it's a function, but in terms of Microsoft Access, it's probably going to be a form or maybe a report, depending on how we want to implement it. Okay? For now, we're not there yet. This project is going to take the rest of the semester to get going, and we haven't done enough of the Cengage work to really complete it. So for now, take your draw a chair entity and any update you want to make to it, submit it into the redraw the chair entity assignment, and think about what other entities. And you may want to write a sentence about what this website, the furniture selling website, will do in order to identify some of those entities or attributes or functions. Okay, But the aim of the discussion forum for now is to identify entities and or attributes of those entities. Okay, that is it for now. I will be sending out my usual weekly summary email sometime shortly, and we'll see how we go.